necessarily tribal or regional.
Welcome back. It's Daybreak on Trust Television. Time to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. And we have in the studio Ben Shema, the former Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, as our guest reviewer this morning. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
Always a great pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a look at the papers now, beginning with the Daily Trust newspaper. The lead story here talks about the national crisis. It says, Buhari convenes Emergency Council of State meeting Friday. The writer says, come up with pragmatic solutions. Afenifere urges leaders. We need cash to conduct elections, says INEC. President meets Tambuwal, Bagudu, CBN Governor, others at Aso Rock. That's all the details is on page 4. Now, you would find also the pictorial there showing you Tunisian emergency responders load aid to Syria and Turkey into military planes. Now, in response to the earthquake, in Syria and Turkey, aid is coming in. The Turkey-Syria earthquake death toll passes 7,200. You'd find all the details on page 35. Gunmen kill Imam, chief's son, abduct 14 others in Kaduna on page 21. Boa to dualize 132-kilometer Kano-Kongolom road with 115 billion naira. All the details on page 23. You also have beneath, race to NAS, retired Air Commodore, others in hot battle to unseat Dogua. You also have above the lead story, politicians, electorate biggest danger to 2023 polls. Jega on page 13. Fuel crisis disrupts essential services across Nigeria, and the writer says school buses, ambulances in skeletal operations, police, civil defense reduce patrols. All of that on page 28. These are the main stories on the Daily Trust this morning.
Now let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper. It has a lead story that says cash crunch, no end in sight as PNB, governors, CBN keep mum. And then we have a writer that says, FG fingers opposition parties in Naira swap crisis. We also have CBN won't be used to thwart 2023 polls, says Emefiele. Tinubu appeals for calm over fuel Naira scarcity. 1 killed in Ogun riots. And just above that, we have 2023. Anti-Tinubu cabal wanted Jonathan as president. And we also have the Turkey-Syria earthquake, girl 4 rescued as death toll hits 7,000. Just beneath that, federal government bore a flag of 116 billion Kano-Kazare Kongolam road construction. Navy arrests 2 traffickers, rescues 18 victims in Kano. Still on the Leadership, after declaring strike, Ipman makes U-turn, resumes operations. And above the masthead, we have political elites must adjust to reality of national unity. This is coming from the Vice President Oshibajo. I will fully exploit Bauchi Gombe oil find as President Atiku. These are the major stories on the Leadership for today.
All right, on the Guardian newspaper, the lead story, currency swap. Buhari cancels meeting with governors as TUC issues ultimatum. You also have the writer says, meet with Bagudu, Tambuwal, and Emefiele EFCC boss. Tinubu bankers call for calm. PDP hoarding of new Naira notes causing Nigerians pains. Protests rock Ondo, Ogun. Lagos APC suspends campaign. You also would have Anarcho youths invade Omo community, kill 8, scores missing. Emefiele can't fund activities of IPOP, says group. Ghanaian star rescued from rubble after earthquake. You also would find Wike backtracks, approves stadium for Atiku's rally. And then below the pictorial, you would see that the CBN governor is visiting the INEC chairman is visiting the central bank governor, INEC chair meets Emefiele. It demands concessions for election operations. These are the main stories on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Let's now take a look at this day newspaper. It has a lead story that says, Naira scarcity, Buhari, Bagudu, Tambuwal, Emefiele, Bawa meets, seeks solution. President cancels meeting with NGF over Supreme Court action. That's the first rider. Then we have CBN has no plan to thwart polls with Naira shortage, says Apex Bank governor. And we also have federal government blames opposition for politicizing policy. Also another rider, CBN has disbursed over 1 billion naira to banks in Edo in 3 days. This is the state government revealed. And just beneath that, Ganduje alleges plot to disrupt democracy. And we have TUC gives federal government 7-day ultimatum to address currency fuel shortages. And above that, we have PDP. This is coming from the PDP. APC candidate hoarding cash, causing Nigerians pains. Then Tinubu says, opposition creating national siege to disrupt elections. Hold me, my family responsible if I fail to perform, Obi declares. I will prioritize education, security, Kwankwaso retreats commitment. And just above the masthead, we have 48% of Nigerians now live below poverty line, says Humanitarian Affairs Minister. We also have on this day, court discharges acquits Omokere firms of $1.6 billion fraud allegation. Says former procedure followed by the defendants in lifting sale of crude oil. These are the major stories on this day for today.
All right, on the Punch newspaper, the lead story says Naira crisis may disrupt polls. INEC warns Emefiele, NSA. You have the riders that says some of our service providers have no bank accounts. Commission laments. Buhari governors meeting shelved. Minister says president's hand tied. Banks shut branches over customers' attacks. CBN calls for calm. Also, fuel price to skyrocket as marketers threaten shutdown. Banks ordered to freeze Pakistani terror financiers' accounts. How powerful forces tried to stop Tinubu candidacy, APC vice chair. You would also find the pictorial there showing you attacks in Ogun, Ondo, Edo, protest where protesters stormed banks and demanding for cash and the destruction that followed. You'd also find Ekiti owes pensioners 40 billion naira gratuities, says Oyebanji. U.S. indicts Nigerian of stealing varsities $1.4 million. FG plans new policy to track public spending. Well, these are the main stories on the Punch this morning. All right, and that the last paper that we are looking at. Let's get some more perspectives on these stories. Thank you again for joining us, Ben Sherman, on Daybreak.
Thank you for having me.
The cash crunch is taking a new dimension. It's now beginning to lead into chaos. This is an unintended consequence or results of this cash crunch. We are also seeing it turning into a political issue. You know, people have gone to court to secure court orders. We are seeing Nigerians on the streets, you know, protesting now, and not just protesting, some of them are becoming violent. So is it time for us to have a review of this and perhaps either reverse or, you know, extend the deadline or something?
Well, if you are talking of reversals, it means you jettison it, you throw it away, it's no longer tenable, it's no longer workable, we don't need it. I don't think I'll agree with you on that. But if you say extension, I think yes, there should be some windows of extension. After all, laws are made for man and not man made for the law. If at the point it is injurious to man, you look at it, are the cost benefits so overwhelming, the goodness of this intention? Is it so overwhelming, or indeed the injuries are more? If the injuries are more, you therefore you begin to make some changes, because INEC is already crying. If we don't have money, elections will be in danger of questionable, so to speak. And that's why he's going to see the president, he's going to see the CBN governor. He has indeed sounded the warning to the National Security Advisor.
And this is also coming a few days after meeting with the MD of the NNPC regarding making fuel also available for transport.
All that this man wants is, if they can have some kind of concession, how do we get fuel? How do we ferry these activities to needed areas? Should there be some special depot where fuel, if you're talking of National Union of Road Transport Workers that will carry some hard materials to some election places, I mean, should there be some filling stations where they can go take fuel? And again, if talking of money, of course, you have to pay these workers. There are things that are supposed to be bought too. So, should there be some kind of, do I call it an escrow account, to ensure that INEC, look, CBN, ensure you release some money. If this money is not coming directly from CBN and it has to pass through some commercial banks, which banks are they? And are they dependable? So that if this money is meant for INEC, it's meant for INEC, so that we ensure elections are done.
Mr. Chairman, well, you know, INEC is one. Almost all sectors of the country right now is suffering from this. I mean, we have a story in the Daily Trust that's talking about even vehicles, patrols have reduced because police vehicles are now seen queuing up at petrol stations and all of that. So, you know, this, when you talk about, okay, should there be special petrol stations where INEC vehicles can go, or those that will move INEC materials, shouldn't we be looking at a situation where the fuel is just made available?
If wishes were completed, you see, everybody needs free movement. A situation where you're paying 3, 4, 5 times what you were paying before, and see how long this fuel scarcity has been lingering. If it lingers up to this election period, up to census period, you therefore begin to prioritize, make your priorities. Which one can I face right now? Within now and 27th of this month, soon, shortly before election, during election, and shortly after. Before we now dive into the next rounds of elections, what do we do? If we therefore look at some quick fixes, and I expect that there should be some quick fixes. Let there be money. This is INEC money. Let there be fuel in some filling stations, INEC people, security agencies. This is it. After all, well, in most cases during elections, I'm sorry, I may sound one kind, as some people will say. You see, elections at the point in Nigeria, we treat it like a national emergency. You are told to stay at home. You are told no movement, so time. So if that is the case, we therefore make those who are on essential services to ensure that they move without let or hindrance. People should plan for this election. Election managers are already crying. And who are the supporting agencies? The security agencies, the banks, just name it. Everybody is so involved in this national movement. We ensure that it is doable. And that's why I can see that even the president is again calling for what they call a National Security Council meeting on Friday.
Yeah.
So, which means what they would have discussed yesterday with the governors forum. I mean, they just selected a few and said, let's meet. How do we, maybe they drew up an agenda for these people to look at.
All right.
And I think it's...
You know, there's a popular saying that when 2 elephants are fighting, it is the grass that suffers. In this instance, we've heard a lot of stories. This is more like the government or the central bank versus the elites, those who have a lot of money, who have a lot of cash. We've heard stories about how some of them actually go to some of these commercial banks and get their cash in large amounts, you know, and go without really struggling. With a phone call, they could get it and all that. And Nigerians, at the end of the day, are the ones suffering it. So is there a way to stop this from happening, really, making sure that everyone gets a fair share of this new currency?
Yeah, you see, first of all, you have the financial intelligence unit in every bank. Look, they just monitor inflows and outflows. And by the time CBN has sent this to the central bank, they know. To commercial banks, they already know. In CBN, they know this money is coming to so bank. And so bank, yes, they know it has come in. Now, they have to also look at who again is taking what money and what quantity. So if you say, are there means of knowing? Yes, there are. And these people, their job is to also inform the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Look, we've seen this inflow. So senator, so governor has taken this amount. And if it is realized that the CBN sent so money to this bank, and one man just came and hijacked everything, then of course, the law is there to take care of many of these things.
Talking about laws, so far, I want to believe that the CBN has seen pictures of people queuing in front of banks by ATMs and not getting this money. By this point, some will argue that at this point we want to see the CBN say, oh, we find bank A, B, and C for hoarding the money. Why is that not happening at this point?
Well, in terms of taking some fines to some banks, but you could see that there have been some raids in some banks.
But we don't hear the names of the banks. We just hear one manager has been picked here and there. Well, what about naming and shaming so that others would not do it?
All the banks, they know that this bank, that is being raided, and theirs is to ensure that they don't fall victim of that. And there was, whether it's true, social media, sometimes you have to do some facts checking, where they say the manager gave his girlfriend so money, and the girlfriend was busy selling the money and all. It was traced to, so the CBN itself brought a very heavy hammer on that bank. So it is deterrent enough for other banks. But the banks too, since you have this money in your coffers, I mean, we should be able to imbibe this thing you call the POS. We should be able cashless. If honestly I want to buy some 1, 2, 3 things, I mean, some people should be encouraged. Let's have some small. Let's have some banks. Let's have some small community, small societies that look. 20 people can have an account, and they begin to just. If I buy this, I send to that. This one belongs to Stella. This one belongs to I mean.
Okay, let's talk about
doable.
Yes, another dimension to it, and this is about the safety of bankers now. We've seen some videos on social media going viral of how some bank staff had to flee for their lives through the back doors, through the fence, jumping the fence,
using ladders,
using ladders,
jump quickly,
and the rest of them, So, and I mean, some of the staff are innocent. You are putting the lives of people here in danger. These are people's parents. These are families and the rest of them. So, how can we guarantee the safety of bankers in this instance?
You see, sometimes when you have anger, it is after you have vomited such anger, and you now look at the consequences. Go and check some of these people you call the bankers. These are part-time workers. How much are they being paid? Overworked people, And in the end, customers are saying, give us our money. So look at them. They've sworn to a kind of a silent kind of a mode whereby they can't talk over their plight. So if customers begin to storm those places, get them the workers beaten, and you are beating your fellow masses. I tell you this. But we expect, honestly, that the CBN should ensure that every bank should ensure too that their electronic transfer system is working, so that there will be decongestions in the banks, so that point of services, POS, will also be dispensing money here and there. But When POS does not have, you go to ATM, there's no money. Of course, people will go into the banking hall. See the way they are forcing gates opening, are forcing police, giving way, and you storm the place. So where do you go to? So at the point, it becomes some criminality. So I think when we have this anger, we should try to control it. But again, government, who are the people responsible for this?
Mr. Chairman,
Some of these people should be brought to book so that, we are under an emergency situation with elections around the corner, fuel scarcity around the corner, and of course, I expect that, honestly, as the time is moving towards this election period, they should give students some break so that they go also vote. If not, if there is heat in campuses and students begin to go out, I am suggesting seriously that vice chancellors, university administrators, polytechnics, colleges of education, they should look at a two-window kind of a gap. 25th to up to gubernatorial elections will come on board. Students should go on holidays, and students also registered at home. Somebody is in Calabar or in Ukono and probably schooling in Maiduguri. So he's in Maiduguri, elections will come and pass. They are not voting. They've been disenfranchised. So I think that they should look at it, and by way of also checkmating, when students roll to the streets, it could be dangerous.
All right. You were talking about promoting internet banking and all of that. But have you observed that during this period, internet banking is not working so well? And apart from that, there are some places that people go to and the service providers are rejecting transfers. That is because, according to those people, some people have been able to generate fake alerts for them. So how do we go around that?
Very well. We've had stories where you buy goods and they've given you, you've gone. And the people now go to check their account properly, and the alert was fake. Now, who is responsible for this? If there are some people who are, they don't mean good or well for Nigeria, there should be some agencies. Why do we have cyber crime experts? The bank should be able to have experts who indeed can checkmate many of these things. And as much as possible, there are times you buy items, yes, you've done a transfer. At the point, you are even told not to move. Don't go unless we confirm this alert. So we are becoming a doubting kind of a nation. We doubt ourselves too much. Why is it that it works in other countries? And if you say there is no service, why is there no service? If there is no electricity, are we saying that this service provider cannot power some of these antennas here and there? Okay. So that we have better service.
Let me just give you 1 minute to talk to those who are taking advantage of this, the opportunists among us, those who are taking advantage of this whole crisis, exploiting and extorting people. You have people who would charge you as much as 2,000 to take 10,000 naira. This is surely a big issue, isn't it? When we complain about leaders not treating us right, we as Nigerians don't seem to be treating ourselves right.
You see, someone will say, in a war, every weapon is right, but the Geneva Convention is saying no. Now, the white man has a proverb, idiomatic expression, fishing in troubled waters, that some people, it's only when situations go very bad that they enjoy their lives. So what we have seen today is just like going to the village. You want to buy a card for any ATM or GSM service, they don't sell up to 500 or 1,000 units. No, it's either 100 or 200. By the time you're buying for 200, you pay 20 naira on top. You're buying 100 naira, you're paying 10 naira on top. So in the village, they are over exploiting these people. The same thing with these POS people. Look, I want to withdraw this. No, the charges have jumped to this. At the point they are even saying, if I'm going to give you new naira notes, you are going to
You know,
pay
Mr.
some
Sherman,
other special
You know, Mr.
charges.
Sherman, all of this is able to happen because there's scarcity of cash. So the Council of State is meeting on Friday. What would you want them to do?
Honestly, I would want a situation where anybody involved in the line of operations, the CBN itself, should be scrutinized. These commercial banks, when you receive money, who collects it? That should be, should be brought to the front burner. And internet service providers, they should also be scrutinized. Is it that they are also trying to sabotage a situation? Because when you look at politicians, they are now trying to knock heads of Nigerians against one another. No, it's the opposition that is doing this. No, it's the government that is doing this. In the heat of this, hatred is being taught to the electorate. And so I think that the hammer should be brought to bear. And can't we have conscience in the midst of all of this? Even in capitalism, is there no clean way of making money? There should be. So that those who are taking advantage of this vulnerable situation should just desist from it. Let us march forward as Nigerians.
All right, then. Well, thank you so much for your perspective. So we appreciate that. This will be the end of this segment. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Ben Sherman is the former director of News Voice of Nigeria, giving us perspectives on the major stories on the front pages of our newspapers this morning. We'll take a short break, and then when we return, top of the hour, we'll be taking a look at the headlines again and other issues on the program. Join us again.
But in a situation where you find that look at the
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that